Is Friday, January 17th, excuse me. Friday, January 17th. This is our new show, First Alert Plus. Meteorologist Snider here. We are talking about, of course, a very active winter pattern set to move on in for next week, including some accumulating snow for our region, accumulating snow into the south, and bitterly cold temperatures. Of course, we're going to start with those bitterly cold temperatures, giving you a look at what we're seeing right now. Of course, this is our water vapor satellite imagery. Gives us a kind of a look at our air masses around the region and things like that. Of course, an area of low pressure that is located off to the north and west right here. That is developing on in some mild air into the region. Southerly winds pushing in that milder air into the region. Meanwhile, frigid conditions coming in from the prairie of Canada. And as this system works to the south and east, we're going to start to see an influx of this bitterly cold air. Very chilly air working on in as we head into, let's say, Monday night and especially Tuesday night here, where we could see overnight lows reaching definitely the negatives. Meanwhile, this area of low pressure comes on through Sunday, brings us a little bit of that snow. And again, behind that front, that frigid air, where we could be talking very cold temperatures. Watches and warnings around the region. We have an extreme cold watch in the blue. That's pretty much for everybody. Now, into eastern Kentucky, they have not issued that just yet. Would not at all be surprised, though, if down the line they do decide to issue that because, of course, it's just bordering different National Weather Service offices here. But I do think places like Moorhead, places like Sandy Hook, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, Paintsville, places like that will eventually get into this excessive cold watch. Also a winter storm watch for Nicholas County. That is something definitely worth watching. Zooming out, this is really going to be an impactful system for everyone. Northwestern Kansas, southern Nebraska, eastern Colorado under this extreme cold watch. Of course, much of North Dakota and northern Minnesota and even parts of Wisconsin. And of course, all of Ohio, or at least almost all of Ohio, under that extreme cold watch, and winter storm watches up toward the East Coast. Let's take a look at our data. This is the European model. It's been one of our colder models recently. It's given us an idea of how cold it can get. We're going to look at all the models. Of course, the European model has been the coldest. We're going to start you Monday morning. Notice those overnight lows on Sunday night into Monday, bottoming out into the 5 to 10 degree range locally, or regionally, I should say. By Tuesday morning, we're down to the single digits, and in some cases, some spots reaching near that 0 degree mark. Then by that Wednesday morning time frame, well below zero for places like Cleveland, Charleston, places like that. Zooming in locally, here we go. Monday night, 5 to 10 degrees, maybe even some spots under that 5 degree mark here. You saw that 3 in Portsmouth. This is, again, the European model. We're going to show some warmer temperatures in just a second on some of our other models. Huntington to Charleston, 7 to 3 degrees on Tuesday night with the system trying to make its way on through. And then Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, we are well below zero all around the area. Those are actual air temperatures. Let's factor in the wind. Sunday night into Monday, look at this. Minus 12 degree feels like temperature in Charleston from the European model. Minus 9 on Tuesday morning, and minus 7 on Wednesday morning for that feels like temperature. Locally, again, we're talking 10 to 15 degrees below zero for that feels like temperature on the European model, down to 5 to 10 degrees, maybe even down to 15 degrees below zero on that European model by Tuesday, and then those negative numbers continuing on Wednesday morning as well. That was the European model. The GFS, the American model, is a bit warmer than where we have been compared to the European model. Notice, again, we're only about 5 to 10 degrees above zero. It's still very cold. We continue that trend on Tuesday morning. Then as we head into that Wednesday morning time frame, still above zero. That's unlike the European model, which had us below zero. We continue locally, again, most of us above zero, continuing to be above zero on Tuesday morning, and also continuing to be above zero on Wednesday morning. Now let's factor in that wind. The GFS still likes us to be below zero. When you get this kind of agreement between models where we're below zero, you know it's pretty much a slam dunk that those feels like temperatures or those wind chills are likely going to be below zero. Look at Cleveland at minus 10, Chicago at minus 14 feels like temperatures, nearing that 0 degree mark for the feels like temperatures on Monday night, and on Tuesday night nearing that 0 degree mark as well. Locally, we're talking 5 to 10 to maybe even 15 degrees below zero for that feels like temperature Monday morning. We're talking near that 0 degree mark on the GFS model on Tuesday morning. And then as we head into Wednesday morning, about 5 to 10 degrees above zero for that feels like temperature. Let's blend these all together. This is the National Weather Service forecast here. We're again running about 5 to 10 degrees above zero for that temperature Monday night, 5 to 10 degrees above zero on Tuesday night, and same thing on Wednesday night, although Cleveland gets below zero regionally. Let's look locally. Again, this is the National Weather Service forecast. We're about 5 to 10 degrees above zero, like I said earlier, then nearing that 0 degree mark on Tuesday night into Wednesday, or rather Monday night into Tuesday, and then Tuesday night into Wednesday, nearing a few spots that could be below zero. This is our feels like temperature. Again, you're factoring in the wind. Everyone below zero, not only on Sunday night, but also on Monday night, and maybe a few spots above zero on Monday night, and Tuesday night, same kind of deal here. Locally, look at these wind chills Monday night. 10 degrees below zero, Gallipolis. 12 degrees below zero, Spencer. 11 degrees below zero, Parkersburg. This is coming out of the National Weather Service in Charleston, folks. 10 degrees below zero in Spencer by the time we head into Tuesday morning, and that nearing zero mark for that feels like temperature on Tuesday morning everywhere else. Same thing on Wednesday, where we're nearing that 0 degree below zero, and some spots below zero, nearing that 0 degree mark on Wednesday morning. Let's talk about what we think is going to happen here. Of course, this is our forecast. We're forecasting the coldest wind chills of the period from Monday to Wednesday to basically be in the river cities 0 to -5. Portsmouth, same kind of deal. Paintsville, same kind of deal. But once you get into the higher elevation locations and further to the north, look at Athens, -10 to -15 degrees. Likely this would happen either Monday night or Tuesday night, rather Sunday night or Monday night. Tuesday we have a bit of a system coming on through. Summersville, we're looking at -15 to -20 degree wind chills. Again, either Sunday night or Tuesday night here. Up into the mountains, we could get excessively cold here. So very, very cold conditions are expected to move on in. And of course, Tony Cavalier, he's been here for so long. He knows so much about the climatology of the area. I'm going to bring him in. We're going to discuss briefly just about what exactly, how cold have you seen it get? What does this stack up with in terms of your history here, Tony?
Well, Martin Luther King weekend is a memorable one. It was 1994. I can still remember. Joe Montana was playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. NBC had the AFC playoffs on. Montana won a game that day, and I came in here and we did a cut in between games, and I said, folks, I think we're going to have the coldest weather of the 20th century. Now, that may have seemed like a brazen, a great forecast, but the reality was, Nick, we had had a deep snow on the Friday before the King weekend, and now we were getting 12 to 18 inches of snow that night. So we were going to have 2 feet of snow on the ground, and we were bringing this uncorrupted air mass from the North Pole right over us. And so I wasn't thinking of forecasting for Huntington or Charleston or Ashland or Ironton. I was thinking, what would I be forecasting if I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin? And so I looked at the record low temperatures, and I said, well, if I was in Green Bay, I'd be forecasting 20 below. Forecasted 20 below, and the 20 below came true. It was the coldest morning of the 20th century.
Certainly something that's very noteworthy way back then. Now, of course, this is something that we don't see very typically around here. Of course, we didn't see anything like this last year. When do you say the last time this region saw something this cold moving on in?
Here's the thing. If you go back a couple of years ago, the polar vortex, December, right around Christmas in 2022, we had a near zero day where the temperature stayed near zero all day long. And that night we got a few degrees below zero because we did have a wind blowing. We only had an inch or two of snow. So we've got 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground. We'll thaw again tomorrow, but I'm thinking if we get this 1 to 3 inches or 2 to 4 coming in as we get to Sunday, we're going to have a fresh snowpack. We're going to get this uncorrupted air coming in from the North Pole. Some would argue its source region was over in Siberia. And so I'm thinking, if we don't get below zero in a pattern like this, we'll never get below zero. So I'm just hoping that our infrastructure, whether it be our homes or whether it be our water mains, are able to sustain what is going to be the brutal cold that you were just spelling out. Whether it's the American or the European model, it's still brutally cold.
And isn't it fitting that only, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, we hit 100 degrees for the first time since 2012 over here, and now we're getting below zero for the first time in a couple years.
The old timers at the county fairs have always told me whenever it's brutally hot in the summer, it's going to be barbarically cold in the winter. So maybe they one-upped us this time and being able to say that during the summer.
Yeah, they were able to figure that one out. Tony, thanks so much for coming on.
This guy is the real deal when it comes to meteorologists. I learned from him, if you can believe that. And I've been doing it for 30 or 40 years. This guy knows his stuff. Ohio University, shout out to you for making one of the fine meteorologists in our business.
Oh, I appreciate it, Tony. Thank you so much again. And you mentioned that snow. We have to talk about snow chances that will be working back into the area on Sunday. This is going to be something of note all around the region. I mentioned the winter storm watch. We have Nicholas County under a winter storm watch here. That goes all the way up to the East Coast, and we have more pieces of energy to deal with, not just tomorrow. Of course, we're going to get some rain and snow tomorrow, but look at what happens. Snow just blossoming in this cold air on Sunday as we move forward here. And we have another first alert weather day in place for that. Couple of inches of fluffy snow will be expected. And this is going to be an all-day Sunday event here before things start to clear out. That was the European model. The American model, a bit more amplified, but notice the agreement here. Again, good steady snow for a lot of us. Some locations seeing some moderate to heavy snow in portions of the day on Sunday. It is definitely something we will have to watch for sure. I want to give you kind of a broader view here. This is something we typically don't show on the air. This is what's known as atmospheric energy, or spin, up in the higher elevations of the atmosphere, way up high. This is the European model, and this is the American model. Notice the remarkable agreement here. Downwind of this energy is where you get the lift to produce some of that snow, and we're certainly going to have that, and that is going to be the case for the day on Sunday. So here's what we're talking about in terms of snow accumulations around the area. Good bet that much of the area, basically along and south of I-64, sees a couple of inches of snow. We're talking Lexington all the way down toward Paintsville, Pikeville, Huntington, Ripley, even up toward the Ohio River area. Athens, you're going to be borderline. I think you stay mostly under an inch, but over toward the Portsmouth area, Jackson, Ohio area, Gallipolis, you could be around that inch mark here. Moving further to the south and east, though, the energy kind of ramps up here. We see a south or a northwesterly flow, I should say, lifting up and over the mountains here, where Charleston, Logan, Madison, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Further south and east you go, Fayetteville, Summersville, 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then up here in ski country, picture perfect timing for this. I know the ski lodges are going to love this. Snowshoe 8 to 12, Canaan Valley 8 to 12. It's a very good skiing powdery snow too, because it's so dry and so cold, and that's the type of snow we're going to be seeing. So we are going to see beautiful ski conditions this weekend, but also those back roads, they are going to be tough to navigate once again. Couple more inches of snow that we'll be having to deal with on Sunday. Meanwhile, as we head into next week, again, it gets too cold to snow around much of the region. And this means, as that Arctic air plunges further south, we could be talking about the potential of a winter storm over far southern portions of the United States, way down here into places like Houston, way down here into places like New Orleans. There's been signals of this for the past while here. If you know anyone down south, they're going to have to prepare for maybe a little bit of snow, maybe a little bit of ice. This is the European model once again. Notice the wiggle here. I've circled the areas where that low pressure will track. If that low pressure is over the Gulf of Mexico, that's where you're going to be dealing with a little bit of that snow here, right in here. So snow up here into southern portions of Alabama, definitely a possibility, into Georgia here, and of course up toward Myrtle Beach. Who'd have thought that? As it moves off to the East Coast may have to be on watch for this. Guidance is right now taking this away from shore. That could change, but the way it's looking in the East Coast should be dry from this round. Let's look at the American model. Again, that low pressure system tracking near the Gulf of Mexico, and it's something we're definitely watching here from Houston to New Orleans all the way up toward Birmingham, Alabama. That is definitely something we will have to watch. Let's move this further to the east. Now, the American model is a bit more amplified. This would take it a little bit further to the north, So we're talking more so about northern Alabama seeing some snow, but some ice for southern Alabama and central Alabama, southern Georgia, central Georgia, and even into Florida, seeing some of that ice. And then it moves offshore to the east at that point as well. Let's bring in the precipitation. This is the European model again. Notice where it tracks. Houston and snow. How about that? That would be something special to happen down there. New Orleans seeing some snow. Tallahassee seeing some snow on this run of the European model. Atlanta getting some light snow. Myrtle Beach getting some good steady snow here. Going to the American model here. Houston getting some ice. Dallas seeing the snow. Of course, again, this is more amplified like I was saying. This would take this further north, push the warm air up further north, but the same kind of deal. We're looking at snow in portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and maybe some ice into Florida if this verifies. Certainly will be something to have to watch as we head into next week. That would be something special to happen down south. And we have lots of time to figure that one out. And of course, we just want to give you that heads up. If you know anybody down south or you're traveling down in that general area, you might want to let them know about what would be heading their way. That is it for this edition of First Alert Plus. Hopefully we can continue to keep this going. Moving on, remember to like this video, share it with everybody so they can see what we're dealing with over here. And of course, nationwide. We're going to talk about nationwide weather phenomena throughout the duration of the show. Should air every Tuesday around this time, 6:45, hopefully to 7 p.m. around that time or so. And we'll get this going further and further and get it more organized as we get down the line. For now, I'm Nicholas Snider. Make it a great Friday.